Yeah.
And here you are telling me that you were born and bred here, you were raised here.
Born and raised here, yeah, born and raised here. I'm part of the fabric of Israel. We love the country that we live in. Surely people are going to have a different take on Israel from, compared to somebody who lives here.
It's hard to breathe, but that's alright.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's your boy again, Shady, one and only. And today, guys, I've got a special guest for you. You guys are not ready for this. You're not. Let's get it. So guys, say hello to...
Hey everybody, my name is Ashriel. I'm the ambassador of the African Diaspora Collective and the spokesperson for the African Hebrew Israelite community down in Dimona, Israel.
In Dimona, Israel?
Yes, sir.
Wow, amazing. I've heard of the place Dimona, Israel. How far is it from Tel Aviv?
I would say it'd probably be about an hour and a half driving from here. So, on a good day. On a good day, yeah.
So is it like, are you like from there, or where are you from in Israel?
So I was born and raised here in Israel. And as a matter of fact, let me tell you that we have a community of 3,000 African Americans, which is the largest concentration of African Americans outside of America that's right here in Israel.
3,000?
3,000. And it's also
that's interesting.
And the largest vegan community in the world. But people are not aware of the fact that we actually reside here. So it's good that we could have this conversation about that now to enlighten people.
Wow, that's very interesting. So you say you were born here.
Yes.
You're born and raised here.
Yes.
Like, how was that? How was your experience being born here? Because like, I came from London, and I know what I hear about, this country. Yeah. What I heard, I'll tell you now. In summary, they say this country is a country of white people, blonde hair, blue eyes. Okay. And then you're telling me you're born and raised here.
Yes.
Please tell me about that.
So,
your experience.
First of all, people don't realize that unless you actually visit Israel, you would never really have a great idea of the social fabric of the land. Because 75% of people are not even European people. I mean, we're talking about various communities. Let's say 20% of the residents here in Israel, they're Arab, first of all. But then in addition to that, you have the African Hebrew Israelite community, which is the community that I come from. You have the Mizrahi Jews, you have the Sephardi Jews, you have the Ethiopians, you have the African Americans, you have Igbo, you have Ghanaians. The
Igbo one shocked me.
Yeah.
It shocked me.
Yeah, it exists.
And then your community being here as well.
Yes.
Like for me, it's new knowledge. Absolutely. I've not seen it anywhere online. And I've tried to research about Israel, but I've not seen that at all. The Igbo one came up. The Mizrahi Jews one, that one came up. Yeah. And the Ethiopians, some of it came up, and I was just wondering if it really is true. Yeah. And then here you are telling me that you were born and bred here, you were raised here.
Born and raised here, born and raised here. I'm part of the fabric of Israel. Okay. And so, for me, when people outside of Israel say things in regards to the social fabric of Israel, you could clearly see that they have no idea what they're talking about.
Now I know.
Yeah, I mean, they have no idea what they're talking about because you have a community or you have a person like myself who was born and raised in Israel. And I represent also the fabric of Israel. Now, you have to be able to separate the politics from the society. Right? Because people don't really have a great idea of the society, so they think that everything that is political, like you're looking at the political leadership, and you're looking at the political views, and you're looking at wars, and all those things, and you think that those are the things that actually define a society, which is absolutely incorrect. And the reason why that's incorrect, Shady, is because, first of all, a significant portion of the society in Israel don't even represent or don't even support this current government, right?
Wait, is that so?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because like the take, like from where I live, from where I'm from, in London, the take is that the whole Israelis are in support of the government.
No, sir.
Like it's almost like not a dictatorship, but it feels like everyone is just follows him, left, right, straight, whatever he decides. That's what the whole of the Israelis want.
No. Prior to the war, prior to the beginning of the war, for at the least 10 months straight, every weekend, there were protests of 100,000 people going out to protest against the government. And even since, and even since the beginning of the war, there have been protests almost every week also, protesting against the government's decision in regards to how they were going to go about the war and returning the hostages, and the fact that it was like they're dragging their feet with the hostages, and they were turning down deals, and a whole bunch of things that the people here in Israel really didn't agree with. And so you would, but again, you wouldn't know these things if you're looking at it from the outside. What I like to do is help people to have an internal view at the society of Israel and to be able to reprogram their thoughts and their minds in regards to the society inwardly. Because there are issues everywhere you look, right? In every place in the world, right? Israel is not unique in that sense. But then also, people of African ancestry, we are also in almost every country in the world.
True.
And we have unique experiences wherever we are. I mean, we experience racism, we experience discrimination, we experience exploitation, especially on the African continent. We experience a lot of these things. So even in Israel, yes, there are some experiences like that as well. But that's not unique to Israel. Now, the difference here is that we actually fight internally against these injustices in order to change the system. Not to totally dismantle the system, because we love the country that we live in. Yeah, there are a lot of issues, societal issues, political issues, but at the same time, you look around, it's an incredible place.
Absolutely.
Incredible people. You know, the majority of people want just to live and to experience life, and just to have, the normal experiences of people anywhere, in the world. So it's not anything that's unique to Israel, but because the only thing that you see and the only thing that you hear about the place is war and conflict, then you would get caught thinking that is the only thing that actually exists here. We're walking down the street here. We're pretty safe.
Absolutely.
Right? Things are pretty good. But then also, you're right, you're not that far away, say, from Judea and Samaria, or the West Bank, some people refer to it as. Yeah. And you have Afro-Palestinians there also, who are also experiencing some terrible experiences at the hands of the Palestinian government and leadership. But you don't hear about their experiences either. So people have this monolithic mind in regards to how the society is actually made up, which is absolutely ignorant, because they're people with so many different thoughts, right?
Absolutely.
So many different ideologies. People subscribe to different religions, right? People have different viewpoints politically. People, some are religious, some are atheists, some, are ultra-religious. You have so many different factions in a society. Yeah. So for you to try and define one society just based on a very specific element of that society, that shows not only ignorance, but that shows that you're lazy, with your researching of the intricacies of a society. So you don't want to go into the nuances, right? You don't want to pull back the layers of the context. You want to just look at it in a very broad way, and that shows, obviously, for anybody who is residing here, anyone who lives here, that you're just being lazy with it.
That's very interesting. Like the way you talk, you say we. You keep referring to Israel as we. Yes. Your country.
Yes.
We. Like you're personalizing it, you're owning it. For me, I find it a bit. It's like new knowledge, a bit strange, and I'll tell you why. Because of what I've heard on the media. Yeah. Because of what we are exposed to. Yeah. Like in the UK, for instance, a black person saying he is from here. Yes. For us, it's like, excuse me, mate, something is not right. Yes. Because that is not what we're told. Yeah. That's not what we grew up knowing. Yes. And then with all these wars as well, we keep hearing that it's an apartheid state. There's so much discrimination to blacks, to Arabs. In fact, that there are no Muslims here. That the Muslims that are here, it's either they're thrown in jail or they're sent away. Or we just hear crazy stuff. Right. And to be honest, I never researched it. Okay. Hello, man, you alright? Yeah, to be honest, I didn't research it before. Yeah. Not until recently. Yeah. That's when I thought something wasn't right, and I decided to come visit this country for myself. Yeah. Why do you think? Why do you think this, this false narrative of Israel is being widely spread and believed by people? Because people believe it and they push it. They push it so very far, and they're willing to fight for it. People that are not even from this region.
I think people are just being willingly ignorant. Whenever you have access to so much information like we have today, in the age of knowledge being oversaturated, right? It's almost like there's too much knowledge out there, so you don't really know what to believe or not. True. But at least it gives you a basic fundamental foundation where you could be able to, at the least, start from somewhere. And when you listen to the things that people are saying, I mean, you could actually be taken from it. Absolutely, I refer to Israel as we, as us. First of all, I am an Israelite, right? And let's not forget, right? Because people like to. I'm going to bring you back into the proper context.
Bring me back.
Let's not forget that Israel is in northeastern Africa. Okay? The only thing that separates Israel from mainland Egypt, or the or Israel and the Sinai Peninsula from mainland Egypt, is the man-built Suez Canal. Okay? Yeah. the Israelite people that had come out of Egypt, this was a mixed multitude of tribes that had come out of Egypt. And obviously we know that the Egyptian people were people of African ancestry.
Yes.
Right. We know that the Canaanites were people of African ancestry. Yes. Or is that here? Okay. Yeah. We do know that the language Hebrew, which is my first language, is an Afro-Semitic language.
Sorry to cut you short.
Yes.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
About the Canaanites. Do you know, I don't really think about it. I just know that's a form of knowledge.
Right.
But I still never really pictured it. But now that you said it, it's actually made an impact. Okay, go on.
Yeah, I mean, so, when we talk about the 12 tribes of Israel, obviously, I'm talking about something that is of me, right? Mm-hmm. My people were taken from here, or they began to migrate from here, and I could take you back in history. I mean, you want to go back to 721 BC, where you had the Assyrian invasion of Israel, or the northern kingdom that caused a significant amount of those tribes to be exiled, or you can go back to 586 BC, where you had the destruction of the first temple, where you had a significant amount of those Judeans who were residing in the hills of Judea who were exiled, or you had the invasion of the Romans after the war in 66 to 70 AD, which caused about 1 million Judeans, Israelites, to be exiled from this place. And then we fled to North Africa, and then we were forced to then flee from there because of the invasion of the Arabs in 732 or 735 AD. And then we found refuge in West Africa, and then we were taken from West Africa, right, beginning in 1448 into the Americas, or into Europe first and then into the Americas to be enslaved. And then people say that Christopher Columbus was the one who actually discovered America, but we were there beforehand, before 1492. But you also had a significant amount of our brothers and sisters who were exiled from Spain and from the Iberian Peninsula, right, under King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, that it caused them then to flee from Spain down into Morocco and then down into the western shores of Africa and found refuge there. And today you still have a bunch of our brothers and sisters who are residing there. Igbos, Yoruba, Ashanti, Ewe, Ga, all these people are people who trace their Israelite heritage back to Israel, who have maintained a lot of the first temple traditions and customs up until this very day. They've been holding on to these things up until this very day. So when I say Israel, I'm not talking about just the beginning of the modern state of Israel in 1948. I'm talking about an ancient heritage that has been unbroken now for 3,000 years. You cannot find anybody who has an unbroken heritage for such a long period of time. Nowhere on this planet. But I can tell you that ours is unbroken. So whenever someone tries to describe this narrative in a way that is only depicting what has happened from the beginning of 1948 and going forward, then I think they're also being very illiterate, but also ignorant, but also they're purposely taking that position. Why do they purposely take that position? Because they know clearly that even during that period of time, from 1882, so we talk about those who began migrating from Europe to Israel, and after that they say the Zionist development and all of those things. But let's talk about it, my brother. You want to talk about it?
Let's talk about it. Yeah, because I'm really interested in this. What you just said now, it's new knowledge to me, I must say. Yeah. It's completely new knowledge to me, and after this, I will need to go research into it. And if you have any maybe sources to send me, I need to study into it. Absolutely. Yeah, because I like to know. Absolutely.
So look, when people talk about free Palestine, and this is where they get off with the understanding. When people say free Palestine, what they're actually saying is that there was a state here before the establishment of the State of Israel.
They say that?
Yes, which is absolutely incorrect. Why? Because prior to the establishment of the State of Israel, there was what was called the British Mandate of Palestine. So when people say free Palestine, they think that they're talking about the restoration of a state that was in existence here prior to the establishment of the State of Israel. But let me just put the record straight for you. Prior to the establishment of the State of Israel, there was what was called the British Mandate of Palestine that was here for approximately 20 years. Okay? After the British had won World War I, in 1917, but prior to that, you had what was called the Ottoman Empire, who controlled this area, right? Prior to the Ottomans, you had the Mamluks. Prior to the Mamluks, you had the Crusaders. Prior to the Crusaders, you had the Arabs. Prior to the Arabs, you had you have the Romans. And you go back and back and back. Now, that I've just taken you all the way back to the 1st century. And today we're in the 21st century. So that's 20 centuries that I've just shared with you of information of who was actually the rulers of this area. And the people who are referred to as Palestinian today, these are people who identified only as Arabs, okay? And the great majority of these people, they're not people who are native to this region. So even during a period of time that Jews were migrating from Europe and other people were migrating from other places, there was also mass migration from all of the nearby Arab countries. Okay, and so you would look at the census reports from the Ottoman period and the census reports from the British period, and you would see that there was an unusual increase in the even looking back at that
increase.
Yeah, so you would see that there was an unusual increase in the numbers, right? In the numbers of the Arab residents, right, or of the Muslim residents, because during that period of time the numbers grew, or they tripled, they doubled and tripled, right, at a rate where natural birth wouldn't be able to increase numbers like that. And all you would have to do is just compare the numbers of the increase here in this region, where people were referring to prior to the establishment of the State of Israel as the British Mandate of Palestine, and they had different names as well. They had the Vilayet, you had the Kingdom of Jerusalem, but all you would have to do is just look at the numbers. You would be able to see that these numbers increased exponentially. The increase was because there was a significant migration of people from all of the nearby countries to this region. Why were they migrating to this region? They were migrating to this region because there were great jobs during that period of time, because the Ottomans were looking to actually develop this area. And then also when you having those Jews who were coming from Europe who were bringing money into this area, and they wanted to dry up the swamps, and they wanted to build, small communities, then you had Arabs who were moving closer to them so that they can be able to assist them with building up their communities and drying up the swamps and preparing for the establishment of the state, because they were the ones who were providing them jobs. They were giving them money. They were giving them opportunities. Also, under the British Empire, the British were developing this area for their own good. So then you had those people who are moving into here to be able to work in establishing new streets and laying down the rails for the train and all those things. But nobody actually speaks about these things. Only into the 1960s that they actually start to speak about Palestinianism as a national identity. Prior to that, they were not speaking about that as a national identity, because just like when you speak about Israelites, or some people speak about Jews, where you're looking at people who come from Morocco and Yemen and Iraq and Iran. Some people come from Europe, some people come from America, some people come from West Africa, some people come from India. All these people identified as Jews, right?
Yes, they do.
But then you also have Afro-Palestinians, who are people who had migrated mostly from Sudan, or who were brought here to be enslaved under the empire of the Romans, of the Ottomans. Okay, you have also European Muslims who were migrating to this area also under the Ottoman Empire, and they also became part of what is called the Palestinian identity. You have all the Arabs who were moving from other areas who also moved to this area and became part of the Palestinian identity. Then they intermarried in all these things, and so that's why you see so many different peoples from so many different backgrounds. So it's not anything that's unique only on the Jewish side, but this is also something that's happening on the Arab side, right? So, all of these things, you have to bring these things to the table. Now, I'm not saying that there were not despicable things that had happened on both ends, from the Israeli side and from the Arab side. Let's not play that game. I
agree.
But at the end of the day, we have to also be honest about all of the occurrences. Now look, I wasn't there in 1948. So whatever happened,
neither was I.
Whatever happened prior to me coming, there's nothing that I could speak about. Right? I mean, history, yes, records a lot of these things, but there's nothing I can do or you can do about that.
No,
the only reality that we could be able to live in is the reality as it currently is right now, and to be able to change it to make it better for all of the people who reside in this region. It's not just about Jews or Arabs or Igbos or those who are seeking asylum in Israel, but it's about allowing for this place to be a place of healing for all. This is the Holy Land. This
It is the Holy Land.
Jerusalem is a center of the universe and the center for all religions and conscious people. And we cannot just make this place a disputed place. And when we talk about Jerusalem, we're only talking about wars. We're only talking about conflicts. We're only talking about issues. We have to also talk about it as a center for healing for the human race, right? I mean, because
Why do you call it center of healing for the human race?
Because Jews see this place and Israelites see this place as the birth of our identity. Because Christians see this place as a development, right?
True,
of the idea of, because where did Christianity come from? Christianity came from Israelites who had broken away, and then Paul had began to spread a new ideology after Yeshua, or after some people refer to as Jesus
Christ,
passed away, but he was dead already, right? But these people started to spread a new ideology.
He died on rose,
right?
That's how we believe.
Right. Then you also have Islam, where they say that the Prophet Muhammad came here and then ascended into heaven.
Oh yes, I heard of that.
Okay.
On the
So
donkey or something.
yes.
Oh,
So this place then is the center, right? Is the spiritual center of the world. All right. So it cannot be that this is the place where we're only talking about chaos, confusion, wars, bloodshed, disputes. It has to be also something that produces a new level of increase in your spiritual consciousness as well.
But sadly, that's what we hear, that's what we see with all the conflicts on the news and everything. But my issue now is like with the way things are going now, because yes, you said we need to see it as a place for like spiritual healing.
Yes.
How can that, how can we change it towards that? Because from the news, the mainstream media don't support that at all. They've got a narrative. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm 100% sure, but from what I read and see, they're pushing a certain narrative and it's negative.
So this is the thing. The news outlets are only interested in views, in clicks, and in the brainwashing of the human mind and the decreasing of the spiritual consciousness of people. Right? They want to kind of, that's why they call it the matrix, because what they want to do is they want to lure you into sleep, so that the only thing that you're thinking about is what they're programming you to think about. They don't want you to be able to break out of this prison in your mind and to be able to have, a mental capacity to be able to see beyond the narratives that they're pushing. So when I say that we need to be looking at Israel and as Jerusalem as a center for healing, what I mean by that is that in the Bible it also says that people would say, let's go up to the house of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways. What are those ways that the house of Jacob is expected to share with the world? These are ways of how to return back to the straight and the narrow, how to accept the fundamental principles on which the biblical narratives were written that allow people to become one with their Maker, with the Holy Spirit, with God. That allowed us to be able to actually live in accordance with a higher calling. It's not all political. It's not all about these narratives that people are pushing because they have their own agendas. People are pushing these things, and even if, I'll tell you something better than that, Shady. Even if people get everything that they want right here in Israel, it goes back to what it was before, however it was before, that's still not going to be the end of it. You know why that's not going to be the end of it?
Why?
Because it doesn't stop there. The majority of the people who are talking about Israel as, Palestinian state from what it was before, their desire is to actually have world domination. They're no different than the Europeans with their mindset of world domination. They have also the same desires to dominate the world. How do I know? Because I can give you examples right now, live examples in the world at this very moment of the domination of the pan-Arabic or pan-Arabist ideology, right? Which is a expansionist, right? Colonial imperialist idea. All of the North African countries. Do you think that all the North African countries at one state or at one time or another they were Arab? No, they were not. They had their own indigenous peoples who resided in these places, right? But they have become what is called Arabized. So they've been forced to accept the language, to accept the culture, to accept the religion, to accept the ideology, and also to accept an influx of a significant amount of Arabs from other places. The same way you see Europeans that are all over the world today in places where you obviously know that Europeans are not indigenous too.
Absolutely.
But they're there, and they say that they're part and parcel of that society. You think that you're going to talk to some Boers down in South Africa, and they're going to tell you that they're not native South Africans?
Exactly.
Okay, exactly. They're going to tell you that I'm just as much South African as you are, and you have no right to tell me that I don't belong in this place. Okay? Do you think that Europeans who are residing in New Zealand are going to tell you that they're not native New Zealanders, right? They're going to tell you that I am just as much a New Zealander, right, as all of the other New Zealand tribes here.
Australia, America.
Do you think people in America are going to tell you that I am not indigenous to America? Do you think that they're going to be marching down the streets of New York saying, free America? Right, to give it back to the Native Americans. So let's not be, let's not be naive into thinking of these things, because everybody, wherever you look in the world today, most people are probably not native to the places they live in today. And most of the states that exist today, these are not natural states. These are places that have been formalized, right? But mostly under European domination and under Arab domination. Wherever you look in the world today, it's either under European domination or Arab domination.
Well, sadly, sorry to cut you short.
Sadly,
no one looks into these things. No one thinks like this at all. And if you try to mention it, everyone just goes, just shut it. And no one wants to talk about it. How can we get people talking about this? Because this generation right now, they're all it's a TikTok generation, an Instagram generation. They listen to these influencers and they believe everything. They take whatever influencers tell them as a gospel truth. No one researches. All right, and these influencers have no knowledge. Absolutely zero knowledge. Just go on ranting about things they have no idea about. But now, how can we get this information out to people? How can people be put on the straight and narrow? Because to be honest, it's really dangerous. Have you seen what happened to the Jews in Manchester? A couple of them were attacked.
Absolutely.
Why? Because of someone spreading an ideology, all right, a false narrative. And also look at Washington as well. So how can we reach out to these people, like to spread this information out there for people to know? Because people do not know. Like myself as well, there's a lot I don't know that I've learned from you now. But I'm actually in the process of learning the truth. I'm researching stuff, so I'm sharing it all out there. All right, but I'm not like in depth like you. Like I must give it to you. You know your shit.
My man.
You absolutely do, man. You know your history.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So how do you think we can? Do you think is it even possible?
Well, nothing is impossible, and in the world that we live in today, there's a paragraph in the Bible that says that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Yes.
But then nobody ever continues to the next line. It says that my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge because they have rejected knowledge. So they're not destroyed because I
have not continued it.
Yes. So they're not destroyed because the knowledge doesn't exist. They're destroyed because they reject the knowledge. And then after it says, so therefore, as you have rejected knowledge, I would reject thee. Meaning simply that the spiritual elements are not going to come into your favor when you are purposely rejecting the knowledge that could be able to put you on a straight and narrow, like you asked, right? If you don't want that. And so long as you don't want that, then you're going to get exactly what you're looking for.
You've just spoken to me. Like, you literally just spoken to me. I know I'm searching knowledge, but these words you just said, you've just spoken to me. I mean, I'm guilty of it. You said a lot of people know it. Like, my people die. How was the verse again? My people die for lack of knowledge.
Yeah, but my people are destroyed.
Yeah, destroyed for lack of knowledge.
For lack of knowledge.
To be honest, I know that line, but what comes after it, I do not know.
So people don't really emphasize those things, right? And so for us to get the information out there is the easy part, right? But there's an oversaturation of information, right? But there's a poverty consciousness in the minds of people. You have enough information, but you're not making usage, the proper uses of the information where it could be able to edify you and put you on a level that could be able to allow you to actually move on this earth as an intelligent human being, not as somebody who's been propagandized, right? For you to be able to think with your own mind, you would have to first of all break out of the chains that the world has put you in, and has caused you now to be robotically formed in the how would I say it? You're robotically formed, right, in the fashion or after the likeness of those who have formed you. Okay.
I'm sorry to cut you short here because we are kind of where is the video getting a bit long.
Ooh, 31.
But the thing is, I wanted to talk about, because there are so many sides to you.
Yeah.
Because I've seen your Instagram profile.
Yes.
And the other side I want to talk about is the vegan movement.
Yes.
Call it vegan movement?
Yes.
Can you just briefly tell us about
veganism.
that as well?
Yeah. So the community in Dimona is the largest vegan community in the world.
The largest in the whole.
The largest in the whole world.
In
Yes,
Israel
sir.
here.
Yeah, right here in Israel.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And so the reason why, first of all, we're vegans is it starts with the biblical narrative, right? That in Genesis 1:29 it says that I've given you all of these trees bearing herbs. They should be to you as meat. But only on the other side of the flood after Noah, that's when people actually started consuming flesh. But prior to that, we were, as we are, vegans, because we're made from the dust of the earth. And all of the minerals that are in our bodies actually exist in the earth. And most people who are eating from these animals, they're claiming that they need these things to revitalize their bodies. But tell me, what does a cow eat?
Grass.
Okay. But the cow is big. Is it deficient in anything? Absolutely not. But it eats grass. What does a goat eat?
Because their belly can digest it. They can't digest meat if it eats.
Yeah, but we have the same. We have the same internal intestines and systems as these other herbivores.
But we can digest like meats.
No, our body is not prepared to digest such things, and that's why all the 10 out of 10 most chronic ailments that people suffer from today are a direct result of their consumption of meat, eggs, dairy, fish, and other animal byproducts.
Tell me about, so how about like a lion now? Lion eat meat.
Yeah.
They don't eat grass.
Yeah.
So how does that play out in all of this? Because I'm not vegan.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it. I know some people say it's healthy.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yeah.
Basically, but
yeah.
like I'm Nigerian.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to be honest, I mean, each to his own. You want to be that, you can be that.
Yeah.
But I want to understand it.
Yes.
You know?
So in terms of the vegan idea as well, in addition to the biblical narrative, right? We also know that the meat and dairy industries are responsible for 30% of the air and water pollution that we experience on this planet.
You say a cow's fart is dangerous to the...
Yeah. I mean, because they emit these gases, right, that naturally cause the ozone layer to be busted as it is today. All of the feces that are in the water that's being used in order to try and I don't know what way could you actually be able to sanitize these things, because these are animals. I mean, so obviously they have internally, a whole bunch of things that are going to be very detrimental to the body of the human being. Now, people consume.
Okay.
Let me just say this, and then people consume animal flesh and all of these other things for 3 reasons.
Okay.
Because of taste.
I love the taste.
Yeah. Because of condition, like you've been conditioned to do so. Like this is just part of, your family history, and they moved it down to you, right? And convenience.
Why convenience?
Because it's more convenient for you to just get some chicken quickly, as opposed to you needing to actually prepare a proper meal that'll be full of nutrients.
So how long does it take to prepare a vegan food? Is it not similar?
I don't know. I mean, no.
It takes slice of the onions, the cabbage.
No, it takes a bit longer.
You're good.
It takes a bit longer, and and then in most places you don't have access.
I'm curious now to try.
But you don't have direct access. Also, everywhere you go and wherever you are in the world, you're gonna have access to somewhere that is providing meat, dairy, whatever, chicken, wherever.
True.
But you don't have places everywhere in the world that are going to provide to you a nice vegan meal.
And they're pricey.
And they're a bit pricey.
Yeah.
But it's not that they're pricey because they just cost a lot of money. It's pricey because they're filled with more nutrients. I mean, things usually, you buy a bag that is a little more pricey than one. Why is one pricey than the other?
Why?
Because one is higher quality than the other. Vegan meals are higher quality than this nonsense garbage that people is putting in their bodies. And then you wonder later on, why are you experiencing the type of ailments that you're experiencing? It's because you're feeding your body, which is supposed to be a temple, you're giving it garbage. And so if you're giving it garbage, how do you expect it then to respond to you? What do you expect? You put garbage fuel into the tank of a vehicle. How long do you expect that it's going to actually be able to run on that garbage? And if you continuously provided garbage, then at one point or another it's going to absolutely just break down. So why do we think that our body is anything else? I mean, we should treat it like a temple, but we treat it like a garbage can.
You know, me, I would say we can agree to disagree on this, but I really love your points. You see, like in the Bible, there's a part where I think Paul was Peter, I think, so had a vision where a bag was let down from heaven or something like that, and there were many animals in the bag. And the Lord said to him to kill and eat. He refused to eat the meat like 3 times. On the 3rd time, then the Lord told him that everything He's created, that all that He has created is clean, and that He can eat it. And that's why Christians eat pork. Otherwise, Christians wouldn't have ate pork. So that's why Christians eat pork. And then, so for Him to say kill and eat, then I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I mean, as a Christian, then I can eat meat. And then if you go back to the Genesis, that after Adam and Eve sinned, right? The first animal, like the first time blood was shed, it was God that shed the blood Himself. He killed an animal, because where did He get the animal skin? He didn't create animal, because He stopped creating. So which means He must have killed, maybe skinned an animal and given them to put on themselves, right? And then the meat of the animal, where did it go to? I don't think they threw it away, because God doesn't like waste. So they probably ate it. I don't know. I'm just guessing. So I'm just saying, like, for me, meat, I don't see anything like, detrimental to me. I don't eat red meat. I mean, sometimes I do, but I like my white meat, and so far I don't even fall sick. The only time I fall sick is if I'm stressed and it's just maybe a bit of a cold, and then I sleep off, and I'm fine. So what you're saying might be right.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
But I know you're a professional in this, and I'm not like doubting you. So that's what I want to do, like really know. Out of a place of curiosity.
I get it.
So why do you believe it's detrimental? Like I don't fall sick. So what do you attribute to that? Do you say I'm eating a balanced diet?
Yeah. So let me just deal with 2 things quickly, right? And the reason why I always refer back to the Bible, some people may not refer to the Bible, and that's on them. But that's the foundation of my existence as an Israelite, as a Hebrew. That is my history book, right? And so I'm going to continue to refer to it. And I also have extra biblical information that could be able to corroborate a lot of the things that you see in the Bible. But when you remember the book of Daniel, right? When it says that Daniel was 10 times smarter than all of the other people.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, the 8 vegetables. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego.
Because what happened? They wanted him to eat the king's meat.
He refused.
He said, "No, I'm good. You all can have that for you. I'm not going to desecrate my body with those things." And they said that he was 10 times more intelligent than everybody else because, again, of the things that he was consuming, and because he was in alignment 100% with the one who had created him. Now, being 10 times more intelligent than everybody else, today we say that science says that we're using 10% of the capacity of our brain. That means that if we're using 10% of the capacity of our brain, then Daniel was using how much? If he was 10 times more?
100.
Okay, 100% of his. Okay. So that means that if we at least take him as an example, then we should be able to be on the road towards probably using, let's say, 25% capacity of our brain. It comes from what we consume. Let's look at the 10 most chronic ailments that human beings are experiencing today: heart disease, osteoporosis, liver issues. I could go on and on. I mean, they're obesity. They're a bunch. But what happens when you consume things that are not for the body's consumption, right? They're not. There's a word for it. I can't remember the word right now, but it'll come back to me, right? Then your body is rejecting those things, and when your body rejects something, and you're not providing it with the proper nutrients that it needs to actually be able to fight off these things from the outside, then it starts to fight internally. And when it starts to fight internally, it starts to kill cells internally. And when it starts to kill those cells internally, then that's what leads to a significant amount of those ailments. When you're consuming flesh that takes, you know how long it takes for flesh to be digested?
Is it about an hour or something like that?
3 days.
3 days?
3 days. You know how long it takes for vegetables and fruits to be digested?
Let me guess, half an hour.
4 hours, up to 4 hours. Okay. Nothing could remain in your body for 3 days and not cause significant issues. So it's clogging up your arteries. It's not allowing your blood to flow properly.
I'm going to research all of these things.
Yes, sir. It's causing internal strife with your body because now you have dead elements in your body because flesh is what? I mean, animal flesh is a dead animal. If you leave a carcass of an animal outside for 3 days, okay, so you think it's not going to rot in your body? I mean, so, you know.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, all of these things, I mean, all you have to do is just look at the natural ways of things. Whatever it is that you need for your body to be able to operate properly, you could be able to get it from some fruit, some vegetables, some seed, some grain, some herb, right? It exists, but people don't consume animal flesh and eggs and dairy and otherwise for those purposes.
Wow. I'm sorry to cut you short, but this has been packed. This has been packed. In summary,
yes,
is there anything you'd like to say to the audience? Just generally, we might need to find time to do a part 2, maybe online. But
okay.
we must have time because there's so much. When I go back and research this, I'll have a lot of questions for you.
Absolutely. So we can be able to get into it. Shady, I just want to tell you thank you, brother, for doing the work that you do, man. Cool. I don't need to say nothing to the audience. I mean, the audience are going to go, you know, I just wanted to share this information with them because it's important to be able to get different perspectives. Now, I know that most people are not going to agree with a lot of things that I say, and that's okay. I'm not looking for people to agree with everything that I say. What I'm looking for is to be able to build bridges on the basis of what it is that we do agree on. Most likely we agree on 70% of things, but most people put the emphasis on 30% of the things that you don't agree on. And so that's why you're never able to actually be able to look at what you do agree on and to work from that premise because you're so busy fighting about the things that you disagree on. And I'm not about that life, you know. Surely people are going to have a different take on Israel from, compared to somebody who lives here. I was born and raised in Israel. I know about the society in and out. I am an Israelite. And so somebody who's telling me about Israel from the outside, who's never been here, who has no idea what they're talking about, who've read some books or whatever, bro, you can't talk to me about those things because by the time you finish reading the book, the information is no longer relevant even. For now, you know, for example, I heard somebody say one time that Ashkenazis were the majority in Israel. They were the majority in Israel in the establishment of the state of Israel in 1948, up until probably, you know, the other immigration of those who had come from North Africa and come from Arabian countries and came from Ethiopia and came from India and other countries. So they're no longer the majority. But if that's what you read, then you are holding on to that premise. So you don't even have enough intellect to know that you need to upgrade your information. Right. So I'm not here to argue with people about a reality. The only thing that I could say is these are the facts, and you go and do your own research. I'm sure you're going to research and find some things that probably are not good. You know what I mean? That happens everywhere in the world. But let's not be hypocritical in thinking that there's one standard when you talk about, oh, you from Israel? Yes, I'm from Israel. I live here and I love the place, and I'm going to remain here in the same way you love the place that you live in today. Yeah. Right? And you're not, I mean, with all these societal issues, whoever has issues that are so great like that you have such a great problem with seeing some of the woes that are happening as a result of war and destruction on this end of the world, I need to see that same humanity when we're talking about the level of death, of destruction, of carnage, of starvation, and all these things that are happening 10, 20, 30 times over in Sudan, in the Congo, in Nigeria,
true,
in Haiti,
true,
in Ethiopia, I mean, we have enough places like these in the Sahel. We have enough places like these that if you really were about that humanity that you're talking about, you would not ignore those things, because these things were happening way before October 7th war began.
Well,
but nobody said anything about that almost.
No.
And it's still happening now at a greater scale, and nobody's really saying anything about that. So if you really are about the humanity that you preach about, I need to be able to see that. If you're really about social justice and you really care so much about social justice, nobody cares about social justice more than I do. I live here in Israel. I work hand in hand with Israelis, hand in hand with Palestinians, to be able to make the life for all of us here better. So when you talk about social justice, there are a lot of social justices or injustices that are happening. For example, I'm just looking in America, for example, with African Americans, right? So you're going to tell me that those people are marching down the street and talking about injustices that are taking place 7,000 miles away, but they don't have enough heart, enough soul, enough compassion to be able to march right there in their states, in their cities, against injustices that are happening right there where they are. Look, I'm not an idiot. I'm not an idiot. You're not gonna divert my attention, from all of these things, and I'm just supposed to just ignore the realities wherever they are. We shouldn't ignore the reality as it is here. The devastation in Gaza is terrible.
Yeah, it is really
it's
terrible.
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
What happened here on October 7th is terrible.
Oh my God.
It's horrendous. These things, and what's been happening ever since. It didn't start on October 7th, just like a lot of people say. Yeah, I was here when, right here on these streets, you had suicide bombers getting on buses and just indiscriminately blowing up, and you have 50, 60 people just killed, innocent people who were just living their lives, and they said this is part of a resistance movement. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking? What type of resistance allows for people to just go and slaughter innocent human beings because they're what are you talking about? I mean, there have been people who've experienced horrendous things throughout history, generations, and nobody would justify anybody going out and just indiscriminately slaughtering innocent human beings. And they say that because we've been experiencing injustices, so we're going to just kill any innocent person walking down the street. You know why I know that's not even the mindset of people who are over in Gaza? Because when they were speaking to Hamas leaders over, then they said, no, we didn't harm any civilians. They have this whole documentation, right? It's called Our Narrative, right? The Al-Aqsa Flood. And in there, they say explicitly that we were told not to target children, elderly people, and innocent civilians. Only military personnel and military infrastructure. So they even know that targeted innocent human beings is a terrible thing. But they did it anyway.
They did it.
And they broadcast it live.
Yes.
And they also opened people's social media accounts to be able to broadcast them slaughtering the people, so that people on social media could be able to see these things. And they did it with glee, and they did it with gladness, and they did it with happiness, and they were proud of it. They were proud of what they were doing.
Absolutely.
They were proud of what they were doing. So if they were doing those things, right, in such a horrendous way, they had to know that there was going to be some repercussions.
They knew.
And they had prepared for those repercussions. How do I know again? Because when we were still licking the wounds trying to understand what was even taking place on October 7th here, people had already started protesting against and saying a genocide.
That didn't make sense to me. I was looking like, excuse me, it just happened.
We're still in the midst of it.
The next day, I think from the 8th, that's when it started.
No, October 7th.
Yes. On the same day?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
In the UK, it was delayed by a day.
People were out protesting. They were first they were protesting in support of Hamas and what they did. That's first. They went and slaughtered all these people. So people were out protesting. People were out celebrating.
Yeah. I saw the celebration.
And then they started protesting and saying, "Uh-oh, there are going to be some repercussions here. So now we need to prepare ourselves. Let's get into gear so that we can be able to fight off these repercussions that are going to come, because we know they're going to come." So they had already started talking about these things before anything had even happened. Shady, we're not idiots.
Absolutely.
We can sit down and have a conversation about whatever we need to have a conversation about. There have been some terrible things, and nobody's going to deny anything that has been happening. I mean, they're terrible human beings all over the world. Some of these governments, all these governments, as a matter of fact, are corrupt. These are people who are bloodthirsty. These are people who are all about themselves. These are people who get voted in for one purpose and they go out and do something totally different.
Absolutely.
So I totally reject all of these governments and the way they've been acting and treating the people. So you're not going to hear me just standing up blindly speaking about, in support of the Israeli government with all the ridiculous things that they do internally all the time. And it's not only me. The Ethiopians go out and fight against the social injustices that they're experiencing. The Haredi, or the ultra-Orthodox communities, they're going out and they're protesting against one of the institutions. The other Israelis who are out, 100,000 people, are going out protesting against some of the institutions. You have the Druze community, right, which one of the Arab factions, who are going out and protesting against, some of the. So people are out protesting. They're talking about these things. They're very vocal and very loud about them. But when it comes to our livelihood, when it comes to our lives being endangered by external forces, institutions, peoples, governments that are saying that they would like to destroy, annihilate,
finish the people,
everybody who's here
to Palestine,
then I have a problem with that, absolutely. Because what happens, and this is my final point. October 7th showed that there is no discrimination when it comes to what people would do internally. How do I know? Because they killed foreigners like Joshua Mollad, who had nothing to do with it. They killed Arab Israelis who were clearly stating, look, I am an Arab Israeli. The only difference probably between me and you over on that side of the border, who referring to yourself as Palestinian, is that in 1948 war, I remained, or my family remained. You didn't. You went there. But I'm one of you. Oh, well, that's too bad. You should have never been there. I'm going to kill you as well. It had nothing to do with skin color. Ethiopians got killed right along with Europeans. It had nothing to do with your religion. Muslims, Christians, Jews were killed. Nothing to do with it. So really, you were not going to have an out. If you were here and they get access to you, then you were going to be one of those statistics on their lists, unfortunately. And so when you have people who are looking at things through that prism, there's not much that you can be able to do with them because they're wedded to this idea. How do I know that they're wedded to this idea? Because in their radical thinking, there's a concept that is called Dar el-Islam and Dar el-Harb. Dar el-Islam means that every portion of land that had ever been conquered by Muslims has to remain in their possession.
I heard of that.
Right, it has to remain, and that's what's called a waqf. This is Muslim land, right? This is holy possession. But the Dar el-Harb says that we should bring under our tutelage also everybody else who has not yet been conquered. And there are two ways that we can do this. They could either accept what we're saying and convert and allow our way to be the way of the land.
Or they pay.
Or we got the sword for you. We'll do it by force.
Okay.
Harb or cherev in Hebrew, that means sword. So we can do it by conquest, right, forcibly, or you could just accept it. Your choice.
Terrible choices.
So obviously, I mean, this is the reality we have to deal with. So,
bro, thank you so very much, guys. So much for me to unpack. So I'm sure you believe you were of the thought that all information was for you. No, it's for me. I need to learn a lot, okay? So I'm going to go back and do my research as well. And thank God I've got his contact. I will ask him all the questions I want to ask. And if you have any questions for him at all, guys, do let me know in the comment section. I will leave his social handle so you can go follow him as well. You can have a chat with him. Just speak to him, ask him questions and have a chat, all right? Thanks so very much, bro. It's going to be a peace out from us. Peace.